Right, so this polytunnel was put up at the end of March. We'd planned on having a second one put up so that we could grow more tomatoes, something that I like to bottle and that we use all year round. This polytunnel is smaller than the one over there on the other side of the veg patch. This one is 12 foot by 24 foot. Okay, let's have a look inside. We had a local company put it up. It's got these drop-down windows for ventilation on both sides and very generous single doors which easily can accommodate a wheelbarrow. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look inside. I've got a lot of tomatoes growing on the left and the right. It's a bit of a hodgepodge though, because at the beginning of May we lost about half the tomato plants to frost. I'd covered some of them but didn't really think they were going to be that vulnerable inside the polytunnel, but boy was I wrong. It was quite a nasty frost, as some of you in the UK may have remembered. Lots of people kind of lost potatoes and all sorts of things. Fortunately, I had replacement plants, so I put them in. I'd lost some of the labels, and some were growing really tall and some were not growing so tall. So I'm not sure what's what, but on the left-hand side are mainly the crimson crushed tomatoes, which are the blight-resistant, big beefsteaky type tomatoes that I'm using for bottling mainly. Although I use all of them for bottling and eating, they're all tasty. Okay, so in the central aisle, I started growing some melon plants, but they didn't do very well for some reason and just didn't seem to grow. So rather than waste the space for a crop that I might not have had, I pulled them out and I planted some purple sprouting broccoli, which I know won't crop till probably late winter, early spring. However, they're growing really well in here. And I've got some grass clipping mulch just to keep things moist, as it gets really quite hot in the polytunnel, as you can imagine. Right, down here I've got French marigold, and I've got a few King of the North peppers, which again took a long time to settle in, probably due to the cold and the drought we had. But now they're producing, each is producing a single good-sized pepper actually. I think next year what I will do is probably plant them out a little bit later when things have really settled. But who knows when that's going to be, because the weather has been just so changeable. Right, in the center of this middle aisle we have got 2 cucumber plants, and I'm growing them up some baling twine which is tied to the crop bars. The variety is Carmen and they're lovely. I had 6 plants last year and it was just too many cucumbers. I don't do an awful lot of pickled cucumber. I like some, but I don't like that many. And 2 plants is plenty. And as you can see, there's quite a few cucumbers coming along on here. Now, I don't cut off any male flowers or pollinate anything. They just kind of do their own thing. They're beautiful and they're sweet and they're really, really tasty. I'm very happy with this variety. In the middle here, I had some aubergine plants, and again, they didn't do very well. They just seemed to sit there in suspended animation and look a little bit yellow and sad, which was a contrast to what they were like last year in the big polytunnel. So I pulled them out because I thought they were just going to take up space and not produce much of a crop. And I planted some more onion sets. I think sometimes you just have to have things as a backup plan. And you have to make a judgment. You can wait sometimes and see if they improve, but then you just, through experience and failure and success, you sometimes just have to make a decision, and that's what I did. Right, okay, here I took some side shoots off one of my Crimson Crush tomato plant, and I rooted it, and then I planted it. So it's doing really, really well. Next to the lemon drop chilies, I think I've got about 6 or 8 plants here, and they're all starting to produce fruit now, and they're doing really, really well. See, I can't understand why these are doing so well, but the little King of the North peppers struggled for such a long time. These just seem not to have any problem at all. I know chilies aren't exactly the same as sweet peppers, but they are closely related, surely. Here's my different varieties of tomatoes. I've got some San Marzano, which is a plum tomato. Oh, I've got a few here I think I need to pick soon. They're beginning to ripen. I've got Ukrainian purple. I've got Mountain Magic and something called Gigantamo, which is meant to be quite big. An Old German, which is a kind of purpley green tomato, another really big one. Lovely, lovely big tomatoes. On the other side, as I said before, are mainly the Crimson Crush tomatoes. They're doing well, they're starting to ripen. There's a nice one there. And I've interplanted some purple basil, which is meant to grow really well next to tomatoes. But here and there I've got dotted some French marigolds, which are meant to keep nematodes and things away. Nematodes? Or are they beneficial? I'm not sure. They're meant to keep something away. Right, so there you go. The second polytunnel at the beginning of August. Starting to become quite productive. This is the method that I've tried to use to train the tomatoes up. I'm winding them around baling twine that's tied up to a laundry line, tied on to the crop bars. And really all I do is I wind the tomato plants gently around the baling twine. Now it's really important to trim away unnecessary foliage so you get better air circulation. I've been trying to do that. I've not succeeded as well as I had last year, but it's kind of a regular thing. And when I lost some of my tomato plants, I was keen to kind of let the damaged ones just grow and repair, so I didn't trim side shoots as much, which is why they look a little bit bushy. But I do go around with scissors and trim things off. Anyway, I shall continue the process.